We gotta check the PvP interview because we're obviously PvP players. We know what's going on. We know what this shit is. All right, we're at like 60 subs today. Where is the Bajira interview? Let me find it. Bajira. Is there a YouTube video? Bajira Holinka. Wow, Dragonflight PvP interview with. Here we go. Here we go. Right now. Here it is. Dragonflight PvP interview. Can we watch this? This is probably fine, right? I'm sure Bajira wouldn't mind. Bajira's hopefully won't mind, right? You wouldn't mind. It's gonna be all good. We about to send it. Here we go. This is not Brian Holinka. First of all, Phantom the Master Tier 3. All right, here we go.
The same background for our thing. That actually works out really well.
They're on Zoom? They're on Zoom? That gave me I hated Zoom. That just freaked me out seeing that. That freaked me out right there. All right.
I mean, you want me to change it?
Back in school, man.
No,
Jesus
no,
Christ.
Look.
Things that I'm sure we'll talk about will be great. Talking about solo queue, talking about gear.
Solo queue,
talking
gear.
about you know, changes to classes, talents, how that'll affect PvP. Those sorts of topics, I'm sure, are what people primarily want to hear about.
Yeah, we do. I'm turning it up.
Talk about all of them. So
great, let's do it. People are spamming about solo queue, so
yeah, sure.
Is that loud? Is that good?
Yeah, the implementation of solo queue so far with the shuffle and being like a brawl, people seem to have been digging that. What's been like the sort of internal feedback that you guys have gotten?
Yeah, what's going on?
I mean, a lot of relief that it's gone well.
Yeah,
you know, because it's kind of a wacky idea. You know, we thought when we came
solo
up with it a couple months ago, it was like, you know, what do we think about, you know, just changing the teams? Because I think we wrote a blog about this, and it was a lot about concern about the matchmaker. You know, I've watched other games do solo queue, rated solo queue over the years, and I feel like there's always this focus on the matchmaker, and that'll likely probably still happen.
Right.
Why am I fighting this rated person? Why was this low MMR person in here?
Yeah.
But you know, I think we have this added factor of compositions and specs. You come in as the spec you're in, and that's all. You know, you don't get to pick a different class, spec or any of that. So I'm well, the stream distracts me, and so that's you know, that was an issue, and so the solution we thought was let's do this shuffling, and so had concerns about the length of matches. Had concerns about you know, whether people would embrace it or whether people would be like, I hate all these goofy compositions I'm playing, right? But I think it's a fresh take on things. You know, I think
it is for sure. It is.
We've been playing 2v2, 3v3.
I was someone, you know, maybe I'm a boomer for saying this shit because I played WoW for so long. I always thought that when you're playing WoW, you need to play these specific compositions, and that's kind of what World of Warcraft is. But as time goes on, the solo shuffle idea is like there's something to be said that it might be very exciting and a new gaming experience to be playing lots of subpar compositions, especially if the team you're fighting is also playing a subpar composition, because then it becomes a lot more kind of like, there's still a certain imbalances, but it feels like there's more individual skill that can shine when everyone's playing weaker compositions, and it's constantly like rotating. So it's kind of like, oh, that's actually really different to think about, as opposed to everyone playing RMP. It's like, holy shit, now we're playing, you know, Warrior Rogue or just random other shit, or just Mage Hunter and just, you know, weird obscure shit. And it's like, oh wow, that's like, okay, see what happens.
For a long time now, when people have this, like, you know, control over the comp they're playing, that they will or will not play, you know, in a way that meta can get, you know, pretty, I don't want to say stagnant, but like,
it can be
without change, it's like you're seeing
it gets boring.
And so
it does.
Solo queue, you know, solo shuffle, it's like it's all forced upon you, right? Like you have to react.
See, Olinka gets it, man. He knows what he's talking about.
And so I think it's been a fresh take for people. So very
it's true,
excited about that. I mean, the team that worked on it, it was a significant effort. You know, there were, you know, the way we do arenas had to be rewritten, just like going into a rewritten had to be re-implemented. And so I'm really proud, honestly, of the job they did. But yeah, the goal here was always to come up with a rated solo queue system. That's
awesome.
Our plan. That's our plan. That's what we're working.
Solo queue's going rated. You heard it here right now. Rated solo queue.
You never know what's going to go right, what's going to go wrong.
It's happening.
But you know, the brawl was definitely about finding the problems before your rating was on the line.
So they're sending it. It's happening. Solo queue, we're in. All right.
We got to figure out the lever penalties. We got to figure out matchmaking, rewards, things like that. And how do we get more healers in the queue?
Right.
And so
that's true.
Better to try to have those problems in this unrated environment than a very high stakes one that I think people will, they'll really care about their solo rated queue.
Yes, they will.
Yeah.
Excited about that. Hoping we can do things where people are really looking to say like, who's the best sub rogue?
Yeah.
And not just like who's the best, he or she was playing with RMP all the time.
Right.
No, it's
look at that. Who's the best rogue? Oh no, they just play mage rogue all the time. He's making fun of the mage roguers. He's making fun of them live on interview. Do you hear this?
Just like
listen to this.
Who's the best,
Oh, they're not that good. They just play mage rogue all the time.
He or she was playing with RMP all the time.
Exactly.
It's
can you carry your team in every
what do you got?
Yeah.
Yep, and adapt. So
fire.
So yeah, very pleased with it. Going to be taking it forward and taking it to the next step.
Awesome. So just the final thought that I coalesce is rated solo queue is part of the plan.
He's talking about gearing.
Like that system compared
how hard it is to gear.
It's like, we've heard about like WAD, which is like maybe the most simple, where it's like you just get this gear and it scales up in arena, and that's just is what it is. Everybody at the same rating gets the same thing. How does that feel? And I guess the third one to chime into was with like Legion, where it's like actually just all normalized, except for eye level.
Yeah, I feel like we've tried everything.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they have.
When I talk about this topic,
been around the block with gearing.
I've talked with other designers at other studios, other games that have PVE, PvP elements, and I'm like, oh man, we've tried it all.
Yeah.
I think based on a lot of the feedback we've seen from the community, that Warlords, Draenor type system, that seems what people want, and that's what we're aiming for. So that's kind of what we're going to be targeting. They're
going Warlords of Draenor.
We have PvP item level and PvE item level, and our plan is to basically do like 2 tiers of PvP item level.
Okay.
Get your honor gear. You buy the honor gear, and you can get up to a certain point. Let's just call it like 113.
Sure, yeah, just random level.
And then you buy conquest gear, and that would be like 126. So and it would always be that high PvP item level,
right.
And it would be something probably around like heroic, or it would go up to like heroic, and for honor gear, and like conquest would go up to like mythic. Trinket set bonuses, PvP set bonuses. To try and discourage a lot of the items that come from raids that are problematic, particularly trinkets.
Yeah.
And then other cantrip items. I'm not really bothered, to be honest with you, if like some cantrip item sneaks into PvP. Like I think it's okay for you to go out and you're a really intense player of this game, and you want to go find 1 or 2 items from a raid or from a Mythic Plus and bring them into PvP, and they're good. I think that's okay. I think it's a world game.
Yep.
It's RPG PvP. Go out, get those things, make yourself better.
Guys, what he's been saying is it sounds like they're bringing back set bonuses for trinkets at least, but they may be on gear. I don't know. And then it seems like to upgrade your gear, it's infinitely easier. Like it doesn't take this 15,000 honor per piece in this crazy progressive system where it's a nightmare with minimal upgrades. And then he's like, it's okay if like the obscure item here or there gets into PvP because that's always been normal. But Holinka knows exactly what the fuck's going on. Like he's been completely on point with everything about how much easier it is to get gear, how much faster it's going to be, and then also bonuses for actually using PvP gear, so don't just get steamrolled by a PvEer with mythic gear and shit. So he's completely like
better. I think when
totally
we're
got it.
about,
Totally
like, go get everything from somewhere that's not PvP, that's a big problem. And actually even get the majority of your stuff from not PvP.
Right. I mean, what you just described probably is a situation where, like, if people only want to do PvP, that's the only thing that they log into and acquire their gear from, a full set of PvP gear is going to be very competitive.
Yes.
Even if you're like, okay, there's this one trinket from this one boss that if you get it at Mythic eye level is kind of cool. Like, because I remember that was like Kata had like
a trinket or something.
Items, and, like some of the trinkets in Kata were really cool, and I mean that's been a thing, throughout the course.
Bajura also had the heroic tentacle weapon in Kata, no bias. So take that as you will. You guys have a heroic tentacle weapon? Let me know. let me know if you had one. If you didn't, you definitely fucking died to it.
The game, but
that's for sure.
Yeah, there have been times where it was like a little heavier to get a lot of really good stuff from PVE, and it sounds like what you're describing right now is as we move forward, it might be a situation where if you want to only do PvP,
I had the Violet Shadows though,
like very competitively geared.
It's all good.
Even if you only do PvP to cap your character, you might get a little bit less conquest, but the actual eye level that you have on your gear is going to be the same as somebody who's playing at like Gladiator rank 1 level.
Right. Yep.
Gotcha.
You put it right. You know, the way you put it is, if somebody wants to just be doing PvP, they're going to get an excellent set of gear for PvP. Arguably,
that's
the
perfect.
Best.
Damn.
And that's the key. I feel like if we're
arguably the best,
arguably, where somebody is like, yeah, that's good, but this, you know, one item has, you know, benefits. Okay, you know, okay.
That's fine.
It's a choice that you make, and I think that's okay. But it's when it doesn't feel like that's a choice that I think is a problem. So
yeah,
the only thing I want to clarify is there may be a question of like, well, can you just do that in season 4 and why wait? I think if you can go to a vendor and just spend honor gear and get heroic item level, like that's not something we can just let you run around in war mode with. Like you know, or and same with conquest. Like now you have mythic gear and you're just running out in the outside world, and so that's why that change of PvP item level, item level currently works in the outside world.
Yeah.
And our plan is for it to not.
Right.
And then upgrades are still going to exist. So if you're a gladiator level player, you can upgrade your gear with honor, and it will upgrade your PVE item level.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I mean, because I
see.
Being able to spend a lot of time in the game and progress in whatever you like the most, and then be able to take a portion of that power into other elements of the game does feel pretty good. Instead of being like, wow, I mean, like I've got the best PvP gear in the game.
I think what he just said was, I could be wrong, but he just said the PvP gear is going to be super fucking strong, but it won't be that good in PvE, but you can upgrade it on PvE, but it basically starts off super strong in PvP. Is that what he just said? So instead of it being weak in both, it's already good in PvP? Yeah, that's insane. You know, I wouldn't mind before if I could get the gear and start smoking people, but this is fine too. This is great. I mean, that's insane. That's very, very good. So it's max eye level in PvP immediately, which is great. That's a W. That's a fucking W. That's insane.
But I'm like Mythic 0 eye level to go into do Mythic. That's kind of weird. But if you can take some of the strength that you've got, you should be able to.
I mean, if you're a gladiator level player, you're an elite, player. You should be able to take some of that gear into the raids.
You should be able to
do okay. Like maybe like your stats won't be perfect and the eye level won't be as high, but you can still
Yeah, like I know
contribute.
The badge trinket is really good for a lot of specs with like 1 minute cooldowns.
Yeah, that's
cool.
It
is.
So
it
go
is.
out to get that, and
it's got crit on it too.
Want to be a 2400 rated player or whatever to bring that up as max item level, bring it to the raids. I think that's a good situation.
That's great.
Yeah, because usually it feels like people get pulled into PvE to get like the strong stuff, and I guess that could move us a little bit into the next thing where like tier sets right now are like a big deal. The creation catalyst just got put in, so you're able to
finally
get your tier set if you've been unlucky or if you're like late to the game or whatever. You mentioned that PvP set bonuses are one of those things that you guys have tried in the past to sort of really make PvP gear more valuable than PvE.
The set bonuses were cool. I liked them.
The kind of thing that might return now that we're seeing tier sets in PvE. Would there be any kind of bonus for PvP gear as well?
Well, the trinket set bonus will definitely stick around.
Okay.
And we're really happy with the implementation we have now, where it gives a fixed amount of primary stat and stamina, because that really just lets us tune the game holistically in terms of damage and
probably a good change.
But PvP set bonuses we'll have to think a bit about. So the PvP set bonuses where
sometimes they're just cool. It's like
they're cool and they make the PvP gear spec.
Okay, wait. So let's take that resub. Cryphonic, how you doing, man? Guys, it sounds like we're not getting PvP set bonuses. I mean, and what he says makes a lot of sense, because what he was I think what he was saying was, because there used to be, if you had like 4 pieces of actual PvP armor, it'd give you like benefits for like a 2-piece and 4-piece. And he's saying if every single class has their own set bonuses, right? Like they'd have to, and they have to change them every single season. He's saying that the set bonuses could just be so powerful and so strong that it would have such an insane influence over the game that it's like not even worth trying to deal with. And if they constantly trying to make new set bonuses of like you kick someone, you get 3 combo points, like, after cheap shot your eviscerate does 200% damage, just random shit like that, then it'd just be impossible to fix. So that's why they go with the trinket bonuses, because those are more like, baseline, and that's why they changed the percentage of versatility damage increase to just the straight up like main stat and stamina. So it's too hard to balance set bonuses. I guess, which makes sense because if we had a shit set bonus and someone else had a god tier 1, it'd be like, well, this is kind of a joke. You know what I mean? So. Yeah.
Specific.
They don't want to have to improve the set bonus each season. Yeah, it's very hard. It's hard to balance. He's saying it's very hard to balance, and it'd be worse for us, which arguably is true because it's been a lot of time.
Everybody, you know, that we
even though it's not as fun
for people, and that is a cool idea.
For sure. So how are we looking for like cross faction stuff for PvP? How does that affect PvP? That's coming in 9.2.5 right?
Yes, our plan is to support cross faction play in rated PvP content. Any pre-made PvP content. So if you want to get into an arena with
cross factions confirmed.
That's the plan.
Cross factions in. It's in.
Do it with RBGs. That's the plan. Basically, you know, you're electing into that, and so it's cool. Random battlegrounds, skirmishes. Our plan is still to keep that faction divide for the time being. But you know, when we think about solo shuffle, especially rated, I think that's something down the line we definitely want to combine. I don't think there's anything more fantasy forward than the idea of you are just thrown in the arena.
Yeah, you're literally just a gladiator. You're just an arena mercenary. There's no allegiance. It's just kill in the arena. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that makes total sense. We've always thought that makes a lot of sense.
That's cool.
So I think that'll be really great for the game. I've long held that I think the faction imbalance is more due to the social challenges that the teams have, and so. You know, it'll be great to see what people go out and do with those choices.
So once that happens, that's big. There's not going to be separate ladders for Alliance and Horde. It'll be one ladder probably.
Not right out the gate.
Okay.
I think there is value in those separate rewards being there for trying to keep people available on both sides. And I right out the gate don't want to step back from that because if we feel like we need it, it would be bad to put it back on. So for the time being, we're going to keep those rewards separate, and you know, just to try and make sure that we can maintain some parity on the two sides. But if we feel like down the road it's not necessary, then we can do away with it.
Okay, cool. So I'm really excited about the talent tree changes that I've seen overall. Is that something that we can expect to create like spec diversity for PvP? And I guess the second question is like, in your experience with it so far, like how many different specialization options do you see like being for specific situations or whatnot? Like how are we going to use that?
Yeah, I think PvP is very unique in the game because it makes use of class utility probably more than any other part of the game.
Yeah, it does. It for sure does.
Buttons in PvP that, you know, some players may not even have on their bars.
Damn! PvP confirmed infinitely harder.
What we're going to see is that the class section of the tree is going to be really interesting from a PvP perspective. You know, like maybe you have to give up a big defensive cooldown to go get you know, an interrupt on a resto druid or something like that, and you know, you can be more aggressive and now you can get that interrupt, but what did it cost you? It might cost you something you've become very used to having. So I do think
Ardru getting kicked, I mean, on clone,
and I think it'll just change things on its head a lot. You know, you know, as we go into 10-0, we're, you know, not like arena specifically is so much of class play that anytime we make huge changes to classes, the game is just the tables have been flipped, right? And so I think the game will be very different out of the gate. And then you know, our plan is down the line to take a look at honor counts again and try and freshen them up in like a .1 patch.
Very cool.
Because that is the sort of thing that, like, okay, the new expansion is out, the meta feels very different and changed. Everybody learns that in the opening kind of season, and then the next season we try to offer up some freshness.
Okay, so just to make sure I understand it correctly, will there likely be new honor talent selections out the gate, and then you change them after, or should we expect the honor talents to be similar until 0.1?
I think you should expect them to be similar at the expansion. You know, honestly, what happens is we look at some of the honor talents, and some of the class designers will be like, can I steal this honor talent? And, like, put it
yes, please do. Yes, give us more baseline.
Yes, so that happens quite a deal. Yeah, you know, I want to address that because it does come up a lot. And
yeah, please do.
One of the concerns I always have about adding more honor.
They just said that they want to put honor talents on your action bar. That he's saying something about
talents baseline is just. That's a potential for 4 new buttons to be on the bar, and that's a lot. That's a lot.
You guys, you had to kind of like step back from adding a whole lot every single expansion because things got a little wild. But
exactly, yeah, and even 3 is a lot, and that is the main reason to just be like, I have 4 new buttons once I walk into this arena. That's a lot. And so we're going to always try to keep it to 3, but totally understand the critique that I only get to pick 1 or 2 because these are lock-ins.
Yeah,
and
that's big.
We constantly try to address that.
Yeah, I mean, I just know for.
I mean, it's almost like Halinka knows everything that's wrong with the game and that what people like and what they're complaining about. Is this insane? Halinka knows fucking everything. This guy's a genius. Everything he's saying, it's like, yeah, we got all these options, but I have to pick like this one or this one, and everything else sucks. And he gets it. And then they can't add all these buttons. They can't add 4 buttons. Imagine you zone into the arena, you get 4 extra keybinds. Where are you even gonna put them? What even happens? Keep going.
Warrior, like certain things are like sharpened blade is like, man, like that's
fucking
what makes
sick.
arms warrior.
So
like
sick.
now a lot of classes have a healing reduction. That's kind of like a standard thing, but having that arms warrior be able to really like put some serious pressure out, like that feels very arms warrior.
Like
so things like that being locked in would be pretty cool.
Damage.
But yeah, makes sense. I feel like we've been talking a lot about solo queue. We've been talking about it a lot from the perspective of arena. I feel like an implementation of solo queue that'd be really cool is rated battlegrounds. Haven't really heard a lot about RBGs. I feel like that was another. I get the feeling that sometimes these brawls are like just testing for like different types of content. So like a solo queue like 6v6 RPG sounds like a really cool idea. And is that something that you guys have put any thought into when it comes to a solo queue environment for PvP?
So I do think there's a lot of value for RBGs. I do think if we did it, I would, very similar to solo shuffle, I would want to do some type of situation where it's a little bit different. It's probably solo only, not like me and another
me and my
person
healer buddy,
go
me and my tank,
and then we shuffle this like we do the Tetris or whatnot. I think it would it'd be the 10-man pre-mades or the solos only.
Yeah, exactly.
And I see the value there, and I think it's something we'd like to do down the line. I don't have any. It's certainly not something we're going to be doing at expansion launch. It's something I'd like to do. 66 is a situation where we've played it on the existing maps. I think it's a little short. I think we need new, fresh content, specifically made for 6v6 or 5.
Everything he's saying, guys. There has been a huge push for 6v6 in World of Warcraft, and I never liked 6v6. I'm not even gonna. I never liked 6v6. I don't like RBGs. I've been asked this at every single LAN tournament I've ever been at. All the admins, all the Blizzard people, are always asking the players, like, "What do you think? 6v6? Is this the thing?" And I don't like it. But maybe I would. But a lot of people do like it. And what the main thing people said was, if they're gonna make RBGs in a 6v6 format, they have to change the maps because the maps are just too. They're too big. They're too spacious, and they got to change like the objectives or what kind of gameplay it is. And the solo queue RBG idea would be sick because I think RBGs can be pretty miserable because team composition is so important. Like, certain classes just steamroll others in RBGs, and like I feel like especially on flag carry maps, having certain tanks and shit, like certain healers are just infinitely better in big group fights, or you know what I mean? So maybe that could be sick if it is kind of mixed up, and then maybe I'd even mess around with RBGs, but yeah, maybe 66 on a different kind of map, but he knows exactly, everything he just said is exactly the biggest reasons of why it's like people are kind of like on the fence about it and everything.
Or some smaller format, but yeah, really like the idea.
5v5 would be sick.
Been trying to grow the team to be able to take action on a lot of these ideas, and I think we're getting to a place where we can. So nothing to promise yet.
That's fine, yeah.
I think I've said the same thing a couple years ago too. Yeah. So it's been on my mind a lot.
It's just cool to sort of see like what's percolating. I know you can't say everything, but no, it's just neat to see like what you guys feel about what you've done and where that leads us next. And I feel like you kind of like lightly hinted on it. We've seen like a couple of really cool new arena maps, like ones that we actually have access to now, and there's one that I've seen maybe on like Wowhead or something where like the pillars can change depending on like what you stand on. Are there, so the new arenas are bumping. Are we going to see new battlegrounds in the works too?
Nothing to announce at launch of 10, unfortunately, but yes, that is something we want to continue to work towards. Is new battlegrounds. Battlegrounds are.
Go add a battleground. They always do.
Something that I think when it fits better when we have the thematics of the expansion kind of in them. One thing we're trying to focus on is how to make war mode PvP. Come up with some new content specifically.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the world PvP next, actually.
Yes, that's we're trying to focus especially for launch on war mode PvP.
Awesome.
And building some systems that encourage players to go out and fight in the outdoor world.
And they want to do it at launch when it's most
PvP
popular.
Is always this like it's a careful balance between like trying to incentivize people to do it, but then also not incentivizing people to just grind, you know, flight points.
Spawn
yeah, or
people.
like run around with like the roaming
people.
40-man hordes that just like wipe through the zones. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You
right.
know? And you know, there are people who, you know, love organizing large PvP groups. There have been for
I hate
them at
people that do
BlizzCon
that.
every year.
You suck
they
if you do that.
and they love that part of the game and they want more content for it.
Because they can't kill anyone by themselves. They need 40 people. That's why.
Want to spend time for the expansion launch on and building better.
Yeah,
just from my own experience, I feel like with BFA for whatever reason that was like the most world PvP that we had, because we had like a variety of weekly quests to do and had specific things for specific rewards in different places, and that ended up feeling like a blast. So I think like quests are usually like a fairly good incentive to just get out there and scrap. It was really fun to group with people from the stream or friends or whatever and just like have like your skirmishes, which is I think that's probably like one of the ways that world PvP feels the best, is like the large scale stuff is epic, but sometimes that small scale stuff where like really funny things happen, like somebody jumps off a cliff to escape and you glide after him and you have like a glider fight. That's pretty cool too. Speaking of glider fights, this is kind of a meme question, but I actually am very curious. How does Dragonflight play into world PvP? Is that going to be something that we're going to be like seeing, like somebody's going to be like dive bombing in on somebody from the heights? I mean, that's kind of interesting, because flying has usually to me been like a man, like this is a massive world PvP like deterrent actually. But now Dragonflying is so cool, like.
Yeah, I don't know that we have it all figured out, but I think there, you know, are some great opportunities there for dragon riding. People swooping in down on you, you know, a pack of like 5 dragons coming down.
Because that happens anyway, but
attack on a dragon is
I mean,
just
it's going to be happening a whole lot earlier in the expansion, right? Because people are going to be on these dragons almost right from the get-go.
Right, there's no like do this quest line that unlocks after a while, and then it's like you get your road PvP going, and then flying comes, and you're like, oh, okay, now things are going to be a little different. Yeah,
starting with flying is so good.
I think it'll be.
Oh my god. Dude, one of the main things they've seemed to announce is that everyone starts with flying. So this nonsense of having to run on the ground forever is like gone. Thank God, from what it sounds like, because that shit is awful. No, just let me just fly in the zone,
you know,
and just go.
It is increased locomotion. It's going to be, you know, pretty wild to see what people do and the assaults that they go. But right now, there's nothing.
Riding the air,
that's just another
great.
example. Like
it's
world
great.
PvP, it's like you just want to set up the environment for it to happen and then get out of the way.
Yeah, just let it. Yeah, I think that's probably like the right way to do it. Make like a fun environment for PvP. Give just a little incentive, and then just let people just goof around, and like, because that's a fun place to like. If arena is going to be one of those places where the gear is not necessarily normalized at this point, but the way that we've been talking about it is it's like it's a fairly static eye level. Everybody's kind of on the same page. Go nuts. With World PvP, you get to use all your wacky PvE trinkets and all your wacky like toys and stuff, and that's like a fun place for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Equip 300 corruption and try to one-shot people with that. Like, that's good stuff too. So
BFA reference.
We are picking Dragonflight alignments in this, right?
No, there are factions in the that throughout the zones, but they're not like covenants. It's not like you're picking one and you're like, I'm this aspect, I'm green aspect. It's not like that so much.
No covenants.
No, there are factions and they have their own kind of like progression tracks that are a little bit about like renown, but they don't have power associated them like soul binds and conduits. They have a lot of more unlocking different content. Things you could see like in Sereth Mortis that people really enjoyed doing to enrich their outdoor world experience.
Okay, cool.
And then possibly for world PvP.
Yeah, that'd be fun too. If you like if you get enough rep that you can talk to a vendor and they'll give you a buff, like, hey, go nuts, you do 10% more damage for 5 minutes. What are we looking at in terms of incentives moving into Dragonflight?
Yeah, so we have the things that are standard in terms of like we have the vicious mount every every season, and that's like tries to incentivize, and that is pretty effective.
Right,
I know every time we post that internally, like this is the vicious mount for the season.
People like the mount.
I get Slack messages that are just like, I gotta do, and
yes, you do.
People love the mount.
Come on into the meat grinder.
that is always returns to be effective. But I think to your point, like, if you're like, I want to go do PvP to get this trinket or this weapon, but now the weapon is very good in PvP right off the bat, and you're just kind of sticking around to increase the item level. Like, I feel like that has the added edge of making it a lot more accessible, because because maybe you want to get that weapon or you want to get that trinket. I'm actually doing that with a weapon right now, where it's just like, yeah, hey, this is a a great opportunity to just get this particular piece, a very specific piece that I want, and I can do it from PvP, and I just need to hit a certain rating threshold.
Okay. Yeah.
And for what it's worth, I think the rating thresholds they're pretty generous in terms of high item level requirements, and so it doesn't take too much for people to get their item.
Flink is hitting y'all with the guys. The rating requirements are pretty generous. I mean, 1,000 rating, 12. I mean, we got to step it up, man. We got to step up we got to step up our skills, man. He's calling me trash. We got to get a little better or something, man. We gotta learn. We gotta figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, what he's saying is too, since if you buy a weapon and it's instantly really good in PvP, then maybe that would incentivize someone to want to play more because it feels like they already hit a nice power spike and they get a benefit elsewhere. I mean,
item level up. But we're always looking for other options. Obviously, we have a lot of standard things, like we said, the mounts. We have the appearances. We have illusions, those types of things that. The PvP system and the rewards that we give it are actually a decent model that we're trying to mimic throughout the rest of the game. So
awesome. Yeah, I mean, even things like we get like the PvP weekly quests, like, hey, do these skirmishes, or hey, do these battlegrounds. For me, at least, like that does kind of influence my behavior. Like, yeah, maybe I will do a couple battlegrounds with my viewers today, or like it's like, okay, I've queued and gotten like 6 arena wins. What if I get like 4 more just for that quest? And if those are like even like dailies, like that could give you. I'm not sure if there's going to be like an AP type resource, but even just like just getting just a little extra for completing like a daily quest, for me at least, that usually feels pretty fun and might keep me queuing just a little bit longer, just to know that you're getting that just little extra something out of it. So that could be honor, or I mean, like honor would be great, but that could be whatever. So it'd be cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Some cash money. All right, so we are at 4:01, and I know that you have a bunch of interviews today.
Yeah, wow, he said the PvP reward system is something they're trying to mimic throughout the game. Like, they really like I think it's really good. They made the elite set at 1800. You get the transmog. Like, yeah, you get an illusion at 2100. Like, I guess certain mounts. Like, that is kind of nice. That is kind of nice.
Thank you so much for your time. This is like a really cool opportunity for me. It's great to see you too.
Yes. I hope Jen and Archer are doing well.
Yeah, next time I have to do it in the gym.
Absolutely. I think that would be fun. I've gotten a lot of tweets.
Is that it?
A lot of feel-good tweets.
Look,
guys, overall,
these days, man.
I appreciate it.
What do we think, man? Is this a W expansion so far, or are we not excited for the future? W or L right now in the chat. So far, it's looking like a massive W. Everything looks insane. Everything looks like it seems like it's everything that people have been wanting to see and wanting to have happen, and they're actually starting to implement things and going towards that, which is insane. So this has to be a dub. All right.